So today I'm going to be talking about the questions of power, control, and resistance at work. So firstly, I just want to give a little bit of background on the article and situation that is going on. So I chose the article from the National Public Radio, which is called Google Workers Launch Union to Press Grievances with Executives. And essentially over 200 Google workers have formed a union at Google to fight against things like the workplace culture, and just change overall, fighting for more diversity, equal pay. There are so many different things that they're fighting for. And workers have come into conflict with Google executives over fighting for this change. So that is why they decided to start a union. So this information is coming from our Chapter 6 and Chapter 7 PowerPoints on our Canvas. And I want to give a little bit more background about models of power and the new bureaucracy. So firstly, there's the one-dimensional model of power, which means that power is a direct influence on the workers, and these influences impact other workers, employees, groups, essentially everyone in the company. And they believe that conflict is only conditional. And the kind of buzzword for this type of power are pluralists, which means that the power is equally distributed. Next, there's the two-dimensional model of power, which means that there are two faces of power, and then they work on more structural components. This model of power believes that the one dimension is a little bit too simple, and the word for this is the elitist, which means that the power is concentrated with your privilege and your role in the company. Then the three-dimensional model of power controls the organizational culture. The pluralists and elitists restrict this notion of power, and essentially they use a deep structure to shape the interests and values of the company. And this model of power doesn't really entertain conflict. So at Google, there's a CEO, but there are a lot of higher ups and employers. That's why I believe that this is a multidimensional or three-dimensional model power structure that is used at Google. And then finally, the new bureaucracy is a complex organizational style that has many systems, layers of work, processes. And then I got this information from Investopedia with the article, What is Bureaucracy and How It Works? And there are the four elements of the new bureaucracy, which the first one is intersubjectivity, which means that social aspects are highly cultivated. Space, they want you to essentially eliminate your work-life distinction. And then time, you should always be available for work. Anybody working, you should always have time for work. And then the economic valorization, which means that there's going to be more unpaid labor for employees. And then finally, resisting workplace control, whether it's changes that are being made that workers don't like, or no changes are being made to things that make employees unhappy. This may call for employers, workers to resist the workplace control. And this is exactly what the Google employees did by creating a union. So they created the Alphabet Workers Union, and then this is the logo for it right here. So the Alphabet Workers Union so when this article was written, there was about 200 people in it. Now it involves over 1,300 full-time temporary vendors for Google, all different types of Google employees. And it was officially formed in 2021. And the main things that they're fighting for are equal wages and for discrimination to stop in the workplace, and specifically the Google offices. That's where a lot of the discrimination has been happening. And then from the Alphabet Workers Union official website, which is alphabetworkersunion.org, their mission statement and vision statement is that we will use our reclaimed power to control what we work on and how it is used. We will ensure our workers' conditions are inclusive and fair. There is no place for harassment, bigotry, discrimination, or retaliation. We prioritize the needs and concerns of the marginalized and vulnerable. Workers are essential to the business. The diversity of our voices makes us stronger, which I think is a really powerful statement. So also on alphabetunionworkers.org, there are 7 values that kind of guide their work. So all alphabet workers deserve a voice. Social and economic justice are paramount to achieving just outcomes. Everyone deserves a welcoming environment. All aspects of our work should be transparent. Our decisions are made democratically. We prioritize society and the environment, and we stand in solidarity with workers and advocates everywhere. So even though this is this was created by Google employees, they will accept anybody who wants to fight for justice and equality and against discrimination, which I think is great. And that is why the union has grown so much over the past about 2 years that it has been around. So overall, I think that them creating a union, especially at Google, is extremely powerful. And I think that says a lot because Google is such a large company. And also, according to the National Public Radio article, there were 2 quotes that really stood out to me that kind of talked about the issues going on in the workplace. So the first one is, last month, federal labor authorities alleged that Google broke the law by firing 2 employees involved in labor organizing, by surveilling workers who viewed a union organizing presentation and maintaining policies that discourage workers from protecting organizing activities, among other actions. So essentially, 2 employees were fired for looking at looking at ways to create a union. So they were fired, and that is one of the reasons why they decided to actually start the union. And also, last month, thousands of Google workers signed a letter of support for artificial intelligence researcher Timnit Gebru, one of the few Black research scientists at the company. Gebru says that she was fired after a dispute over an academic paper and months of speaking out about the need for more women and people of color at the tech giant Google. So overall, I feel that this article is extremely powerful, and I had never heard of the Alphabet Workers Union until now. But I think it's great that people are deciding to speak out, and people who don't even work at Google are deciding to join forces and support the union. And you can go to the alphabetunionworkers.org to find ways to show support for yourself. And then this is my resources page.